Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog. It's the beginning of the month, and you know that can mean only one thing. Yes, it is time for your August 2021 edition of Whale Watch. Whale Watch. This is the series that I do once a month where we take a recording screen and we look at some of the books that look like they might have gone out of print. Maybe they've gone out of print and you've got a last minute chance to find them, or hopefully we can just find you a good deal along the way. As I say in all of these videos, I'm not trying to cause any kind of fear of missing out. I'm simply one fan of this hobby that's trying to help out others, and I have no kind of insider knowledge. I really wish that I did because it'd make this series a lot easier, but we're just going to jump straight into it. And as you know, for the last couple of months we've been doing our East of West check, because if anybody doesn't know just yet, these East of West books apparently we're only getting one last printing, and that printing's been out for a couple of months now. Now this is organic price books, they sponsor the channel, so I tend to use them quite a bit because they always look after me, so I'm going to look after them. And I did not know that they had this last time, but they've got the set volumes 1, 2 and 3 for a healthy $120, and that'll very easily become $118 if you use code WOOFWOOF at the checkout. That's not exclusive to this book or to one order, you can use that as many times as you like. But just looking at it here, they've got volume 1 on sale. It looks like years 2 and years 3 are now completely out of stock over there. Year 3's in stock here, year 2 is on Purple Button of Doom, and year 1's available, but it's for a bit more than cover price, so not really some great signs there. Over to Forbidden Planet, and yes, for anybody who's wondering, I am definitely going to be getting these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Power Rangers things. So they've got year 3 in stock, but it doesn't look like they've got any of the others, unfortunately. Okay, so over at Amazon, we've got year 1 in stock at full cover price, but it looks like no one else is selling it. Year 3 is also in stock as well. There's only one other person that's selling it, and that's used. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're showing year 2 at all, unfortunately. But if year 2 was something that you really needed, I'd recommend jumping onto it. I've missed saying that every couple of minutes. The next book that we're going to look at is these Lock and Key Master Editions. Now, all 3 of them are in stock. I'm not sure if this includes the full series because I do believe that there was 2 extra volumes that came out. Maybe there were short stories, I'm not too sure on that. But as some of you guys know, the Lock and Key Keyhouse Compendium recently came in stock. But the point that I'm making is these Master Editions, I get the feeling that these won't be around for much longer. Yeah, they've got a Netflix show, but just be realistic with yourself and ask who is going to buy both the Master Editions and the Keyhouse Compendium when they're both available at the same time. It just doesn't really make sense, and IDW is a little bit hit and miss. There's some series that they do tend to keep in print quite well, but then there's others that have gone out of print in the past, so I'm really not too sure with these, but I've just got a feeling that they're not going to keep printing both the Master Editions and the Compendium. I think this is something that if you were missing a volume or 2, or if you definitely wanted these versions, I'd jump on them. The next series that we're going to look at is one that I might keep checking in on every couple of months or so, which is the Criminal Deluxe Editions. Now, I have done a video previously talking about how you can collect these, and I remember in one of Ed Brubaker's newsletters, he said that this is pretty much it for the batch that they've been doing, and it might be a good long while until we get a reprint, if we get one at all. And looking at stuff like The Fatale, Kill or Be Killed, Incognito, and just some of the other titles that they've done, it does look to be the case that they're not really intent on bringing these deluxe editions back out. This is definitely something that I do think should be front and center of your radar, especially volumes 1 and volumes 2, because I imagine there was less of them than there was of volume 3. But as you can see here, there's only 4 places that are selling it, and to be honest, besides Book Depository, there's not many of those reputable places that we really know. But it looks like volume 2 isn't in stock here at the moment. There's only used copies that are for sale. One of them's from Books Etc. that's acceptable, and I always say that acceptable condition is unacceptable to me. But I'm not sure if they just got the listing of this wrong because of the fact that it says 2017. Another one that we do need to look at because it's important if you do want all the criminal is Cruel Summer. Now, I said a few months ago that this should be on your radar, and I think this is your final warning point. This is pretty much Criminal Deluxe Edition Volume 4 or Volume 2.5, but it's something that you need if you want the complete series. There's only one left in stock, and it's Amazon directly, and they've got it at full cover price, so this is the one that needs to be on the absolute top of your list if you wanted to buy this. That's actually a good price for Kaiju Max Deluxe Edition Volume 2, so I'm going to add that to my basket, because as you might remember from previous episodes, I am weak. Okay, so volume 3 says to be on back order, but they normally only say that if they can actually put the order in with Diamond. They have got volume 1 and they have got volume 2, so maybe it was just the case that it was Amazon UK that was having issues. Okay, that's pretty decent, and I'm not as worried for you guys now because you can get volumes 1 and volumes 2 from Read Comics along with volume 3 there as well. Okay, so they've got volume 1 and they've got volume 2, but I still think that this is something that needs to be on your radar, and definitely with Cruel Summer, that needs to be something that I think you're buying this month, and hopefully you can get it from a cheaper price somewhere else. I look really short in this video, I can't really get the angle with the camera at the moment. The next book is one that I don't really have a good basis on, but I'm just saying this because there's something in my gut that's telling me that this might happen. But as you guys know, Low is getting a book 2, which rounds out the series. I'm not sure why I can't find it. Where is it? Why is it just showing me CDs? Okay, so it's this one here, but Low is getting a second volume later this month, and every time one of these Rick Remender books has gotten a sequel volume, the earlier ones have come back in print. Look at something like Black Science, look at Deadly Class, it's happened before, and I think it'd be a bit of an anomaly if it doesn't happen now. Volume 1 at the mini, a new copy is going for over £600, and yes, considering the fact that new enough every bill comes out for me in September, that's kind of tempting. Obviously, it's not guaranteed that somebody's going to buy it for that price, but still, I have a feeling that more stock of this might come out, just given what's happened with previous Rick Remender books. But I don't know, I've just got a feeling. Some good news though, because it seems like all I bring is bad news to the YouTube comic book community, but Black Hammer Library Edition Volume 2, this was one that people were asking me about for a while, if it was going to come back in stock, has it already gone out of print? Admittedly, I don't know, it's all guessing from my part, but it does look as if it has come back in stock, and I theorised that this was going to be the case. At least I hope I did, else somebody's going to go back to one of those previous episodes and call me out. So yeah, if this was one of those that at the time when it was coming out you're worried because we weren't really keeping stock of it in many places, make sure it's on your radar now, because you don't want it to be the case that the next time that you remember this book is when it's going out of stock again and maybe you can't find it. I don't know what this Terminal City Library Edition is, but it looks quite interesting. What is this book? I really kind of want it. And as well, it's good job I stumbled on it. It looks like this is going out of print as well. Look, there's only one left in stock. It's Amazon directly, and they're the only place that's selling it. So there's a bonus one for you that I definitely did not plan to put in this episode. But speaking of Rick Remender, even though I know we spoke about him a few books ago, the End League Library Edition, but this is one that's been in stock since 2017, and it's one of those lesser known Rick Remender titles. I've heard people say some good things about it. It's not really one of his top tier books from what people have been saying, but at the same time there's only 5 places that have got this. Yeah, you've got Blackwell's, but you haven't really got your Speedy Hen, your Books etc, or anywhere like that. It looks as well like it jumped up to full cover price only a few days ago, which is normally one of those worrying signs. It's a little bit less now, which is a good sign. So if this is one that you needed to complete your Rick Remender collection, I'd recommend jumping onto it, because these are the type of books that will go for stupid prices later on because of the fact that not many people buy them up. The next one that we're going to talk about, Amazon is very strategically hiding from you, because it's the Firefly Legacy Deluxe Edition. This came out pretty much about a year ago. It's from Boom Studios, who don't really have a great track record of keeping stuff in print. Although I'm not going to lie, I've got a great concept for a Gold Ranger comic, so on the off chance that anybody knows anyone from Boom Studios, please hook me up. But as you can see here, it's at full cover price, and the only place it's selling it is Amazon directly. It was only recently that it did jump up to full price, and this is one of those that I'm really not sure if they are going to print more of them. It could be the case similar to stuff like Power Rangers, that when a new volume comes out, then we'll see more stock of this. But at the same time, if you were following those Power Rangers books, you know that when they go out of print, they go for stupid prices. Okay, so it is in stock over here at Reed Comics, just slightly less than cover price. The True Test, does Forbidden Planet have it? No, it doesn't look like Forbidden Planet's got this one, unfortunately, so I do think that this is one of those books that those would be the worrying signs that I think it's time that you need to jump on this. One thing that we do just need to touch on, because there has been a little bit of a development since last Whale Watch, but the Harrow County Library Editions. When we last spoke about this series, they had cancelled the reprint of the library editions, and admittedly we were all disappointed, but for some reason there was a restock of just volume 1. As you can see here, it was available, and I don't think it's ever really been out of stock. It was volumes 2 and volumes 3 that you weren't able to get. I don't know though if this is a sign that they're going to strategically bring them out, because at first it was a case that they said that all volumes 1 to 4 are going to be back in print, then they cancelled them, but all of a sudden volume 1's come back. I don't know if it's going to be worth keeping your eye on this, and maybe a month or two from now they might release a volume 2, and then a couple months after that they might re-release volume 3. But all I'm saying is, wouldn't it be a bit sketchy if it seems like the extent of their plan is to re-release volume 1 when there's been no issues with getting that in the first place, when some of these later volumes are difficult to get. Now, I've been keeping track of some of these compendiums for a bit of time, and I know that this is a series that, especially if you're comic bound, it's a bit disappointing to hear the title of, because it just doesn't seem like anything's happening with this book at the moment. But the Morning Glories Compendium Volume 1, and at the minute there hasn't been a volume 2 or anything like that. It looks like this is going out of print as well. Now, it's been in print since 2014, so who knows, maybe it's just short stocked, but because of the fact that there hasn't been any later issues, what would be the incentive to get another printing of this? There's only 2 places that have got this in stock, one of which is Amazon, the other one I haven't really had too many dealings with. And this is just a bonus tip for you if this offer's still on at the time when I actually upload this. DMZ Compendium Volume 1 is about 52% off at the moment for £23. That is an amazing deal. So if that's still available, make sure you jump on it over at Amazon. But the fact of the matter is, I think if this series doesn't continue, this compendium is probably not going to come back into print. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for this one, but that's just how quickly things can change in a month. But the complete Witchblade Volume 1. I know I mentioned the hardcover last month, but now it looks like the paperback's in that danger zone. The hardcover's still only available from Amazon directly, but if we're looking at the paperback, it's at full cover price over at Amazon, and there's only 8 places that are selling it new. You have got your Book Depository, your Blackwells and your Weirdery, but where's your Speedy Hen? Where's your Books, etc.? Where you at, guys? Okay, Volume 2's available and ready to be shipped, and Volume 1 unfortunately has the purple button of doom. Oh wait, shit, that's a hardcover. Oh, okay, Volume 1 was out of stock anyway. It also looks as well like the Darkness is only available for pre-order. I'm not sure if they are going to get any stock in. Okay, you can get the hardcover for a pretty decent price from Forbidden Planet, but weirdly, you can't get the paperback. So this is one that if you wanted it, I'd recommend jumping onto it. I'm not sure with later volumes coming out. I haven't heard that a Volume 3 has been solicited just yet. That could factor into it, but at the same time, if you wanted this and you've comfortably got the money to spend on it and you're happy with that price, then it's worth just getting it rather than having to worry if you're ever going to be able to find it. Now, as you guys know, I am not a manga guy, but this is something that I know people are interested in, especially even people that are just interested in comics and maybe they're trying to branch into manga. I'm still going to help you guys out because it's the Ghost in the Shell Deluxe Complete Box Set 5 hardcover, 2 Jan 2008. I came so close to almost nailing that delivery, but then I got the year wrong, but you know, that's on me. But as you can see here, it's only Amazon that's stocking it at the moment, and it says that they're getting more stock of it in on August 24th. And you can get the volumes individually, but let's be honest, we will pay stupid amounts just for a little bit of a slipcase. So I'm not really too well versed into this publisher. I'm not sure if they do tend to bring stuff back in stock, but if you were looking for it, that's something that would be on my radar given the signs that it seems like we've got at the minute. I'm not sure if you can tell, I am very tired. I'm filming this at the end of a long day, so if I got to string a sentence together, that's why. Another manga that you might see on this channel sometime in October, but it's the Death Note All-in-One Edition. Now, as you can see here, over the last couple of days, it's been appearing in and out of stock. There's been other people that are selling it, but then all of a sudden it's disappeared and it's currently unavailable. Death Note is a huge seller. If somebody who isn't even well versed into manga, knows of this title, then yeah, it's clearly a big name because of the fact that it's broke through and I know about it when I don't really know about much manga. It's kind of like when my mum started talking to me about The Walking Dead. It's like, how do you know about that thing? Now, with a title as big as this, I do think there's always going to be some way to collect this series, but it is something that I reckon that there's quite a lot of local comic shops that probably brought a lot of Death Note in because of the popularity of the title. So if it was something that you wanted, I'd recommend getting it. Now, like I said, Whale Watch is about me trying to preempt what I think might be going out of print so that you guys don't have to worry about it a couple months down the line. I'm not perfect. I don't think there's very many of my guesses that do end up being correct. One that I am a little bit concerned about now is Hellsing Deluxe Edition, and in particular Volume 1. Now, it says that there's going to be more stock of this on August 27th. We'll see if that happens, but at the minute, there's only 2 places that are selling it, but the only one of these Dark Horse titles that I've heard is going to be evergreen is Berserk, and because of the fact that there's only 3 volumes that were needed for Hellsing, we've now completed this series. So who knows, a couple months down the line where places start selling the stock of this, it might be the case that we don't see restocks of it. Now, some good news about a book that came back in stock that people keep asking me about is the Invincible Compendiums. Now, a couple months ago, it might have even been last month, people were selling these for an excess of £100 each. Volume 1's back in stock, Volume 2's back in stock, and Volume 3 is as well, and as you can see, you can all get them for next day delivery. I did a video talking about how you can collect this series if it was that you were unsure. It seems like Volume 3 is still on back order over at Organic Price Books, but Volume 1 and the majority of the Ultimate collections are now back in stock. It does look as if Volumes 2 and 3 are currently on back orders, so it looks like they're waiting to get them in. But it's like I said, this is such a big title now, and if you're planning on getting these, I'd recommend doing it now rather than when Season 2 eventually comes round, because I think a similar situation is going to happen this time next year where these just disappear again when the hype for the show comes comes back around. For the majority of casual watchers, they've pretty much forgotten that Invincible came out, so this is your time to jump on the series if it was that you were missing any of these volumes. So it's a new day, that's why things might look a little bit different, and as well I'm filming during the middle of school holidays, so if you hear some noise in the background I apologise for that. We were about to jump into the DC books, but I was doing a little bit more research and I found another one within the indie section that I think should be on your guys' radar. There we go, it's the Crawl Space Omnibus, which is like a collection of a couple of short horror stories that he did. But as you can see here, this is one of those books that has been in print for quite a while. As you can see here, 2014. It was published by Image, so even though it looks like the case that this might have been restocked a couple of times, it also could be the case that not a lot of people knew about this, and this is still some of the original batches. If you ask me, why would it be the case that pretty much every other Rick Remender title, which is arguably more popular than this one, is allowed to go out of print, but this is the one that they'll keep stocking? It doesn't make sense. Even stuff like Tokyo Ghost has gone completely out of print, so I think this is one that is on its last legs, and as you can see here, there aren't many places that are selling it. The only real one that we've ever dealt with is Amazon itself, and they're at full cover price, so that is the last indie book that we're going to look at for this month. No my luck, as soon as I click upload, there'll be another that I knew I probably should have added. But now we're moving into the DC books, and it starts with some good news that some of you might already be aware of, but it's something that happened between the last whale watch, and there's been quite a number of DC books that seem to have gone out of print that have now appeared again and they're able to be ordered. The first of which is Batman by Paul Dini. I know that this was one, especially here in the UK, was very difficult to get for a long amount of time, and I think I remember seeing this appear on Amazon, so yeah, it's in stock and there are a couple of other places that have it as well. Doesn't look like Books Etc's got it in at the moment, and I'm not sure if they have done in the past. It looks like the price has been fairly consistent. As well, I get asked this a couple of times each episode, but this is a Chrome extension called Keeper, and what it does is tracks the prices of books throughout Amazon. You can do it for pretty much the entire time that the listing's been there. You can set notifications in case it is that you want to buy it when it hits a certain price. It's very helpful for Whale Watch, and it might help a couple of you guys out as well. I know it is available for Chrome, but I'm not really too sure about anywhere else. Some of the other books that I saw reappear was one that I was very surprised about, and it's the Infinite Crisis Omnibus. It is on back order at the moment, but it's a very good sign that it was available to be ordered in the first place. This is another one of those books that came out during the dark ages of last summer, where it just looked like all of these books just disappeared before we even got stock of them. One that we knew about for quite a bit of time, but it's just good to see it here, is this Swamp Thing by Nancy A. Collins. We had word from Mr. Omar that that was going to get a restock, and it seems like that's come in again as well. Just to touch back on Infinite Crisis, it looks like it's temporarily out of stock over here on Amazon UK, but you can at least order it. Book Depository's got it, and using my little trick that I've used in the past where I look at the date when it says that it's estimated to get that in, it says that this is going to be in stock around the August 18th mark to the August 25th. So that would be the time that I'm checking back in on Amazon to see if they've got stock of it in, and then it might be the case that places like Speedy Hen and Books etc also get it in on that same date. And hopefully it's just a good sign that DC is going to be making some of these more difficult to get titles available more often, because I know a lot of you guys want Death and Return of Superman, so if you're asking me and you can comfortably get it from organic price books, I definitely recommend doing that, again using the discount code WOOFWOOF for $2 off your order, and I think that is something that will be beneficial for you guys if it was that you missed out on this the first time. Now, one that we do have to talk about that I personally am a little bit worried on is the Flashpoint Omnibus. A few months ago I said I'm not really going to worry about this unless it gets to about the end of July, and I still can't really see it in anywhere. Well, we got to the end of July and I didn't really see it in anywhere, and Amazon's saying that it's temporarily out of stock, and it's not really that much less than cover price. It doesn't look like anywhere has had it new at a cheaper price than Amazon. I really want this book, and it is a little bit worrying that stuff like Justice League New 52 and Superman by Tomasi have come across here, but this one that was released even earlier than that just hasn't appeared anywhere. But still, the fact that DC is a little bit more aware now about books that are going out of stock and that people are having difficulties finding leads me to believe that there will eventually be a restock of this. It's a very whammy book, I'll give it that, so I can't really knock it or anything, but at the same time, I just don't think that this is the last that we're ever going to see of this book. Actually saying that, it looks like it is in stock at organic price books, so I think maybe they did actually get a restock of this. The next one that we're going to talk about is one that I think I mentioned a few months ago, and I said that it was on its final warning. Now it's on its absolute final warning because it's Animal Man by Jeff Lemire. This is the New 52 run, which yes, of course, is my jam, but it's been in print since Christmas Eve of 2019, so nearly 2 years now. It's at full cover price on Amazon. There's only 2 places that are selling it, and the other one is over cover price. But I don't know, this is one of those books that unfortunately doesn't have a lot of buzz about it, and it has been available for quite a long time. So we'll have a look on somewhere like Read Comics, and we've got the purple button of doom, unfortunately. No, so it's not even showing any main eBay listings either, unfortunately, and it does look like it's saying that Amazon is the cheapest new price. And if it is that you didn't mind paying full cover price for that, it's better to get it for that price than to maybe be a few months from now and nearly be paying double that. I've seen it happen. Another one that I know isn't too popular of a title, but still it might be for somebody, and this is one of those books that I think will go in a similar route as Deathstroke Omnibus, where once it is out of print, you won't be able to find this for cheap at all. And it's Red Hood and the Outlaws, the New 52 Omnibus Volume 1. Or in case you're unsure, it's also known as brackets Red Hood and the Outlaws Omnibus close brackets semicolon Volume 1, or it might also be known as brackets Red Hood and the Outlaws semicolon the New 52 Omnibus close brackets. I've literally never seen a more redundant rewording of a title than that. But yeah, I know that this doesn't complete the full run, and it looks like there's no intention of doing a second volume, but at the same time it might be something that you want to pick up. I'm not really going to dwell on this one too much because I do think I mentioned it a few months ago, but this is pretty much the final warning because of the fact that it's at full cover price and there's not many other places that are selling it. You've got this Swest Books and a place in Space. It looks like they're more private retailers as far as I'm aware, so the only big place that's selling it is Amazon. One that I'm not too sure about, so I would definitely put it on your radar, is the deluxe edition of Batman White Knight. Now yeah, looking at it, there isn't really any warning signs. It's been in print for over a year, it's got about 33% off, and there's a good healthy amount of places that have this available, including books, etc. However, deluxe editions from DC are often the most slept on format that they ever print. People don't anticipate that they're going to go out of print, people might forget that they even exist because they don't really take up too much room on the shelf, but at the same time, I think that this is going to be one of those that will just disappear all of a sudden. I've seen it happen with deluxe editions before, and I think that this is going to be one of those that a lot of people will want once they can't get it. But for me, this isn't one that I'd sleep on for too long, and I expect to still see quite a few months down the line because these deluxe editions will disappear in front of your eyes. Another one that I'm going to put in the same bracket is these Crisis on Infinite Earths Companion Deluxe Editions. There's 3 volumes as far as I'm aware, and at the minute they are quite readily available, but the price on some of these has been creeping up and fluctuating quite a bit. Help if it actually loaded it. So yeah, it tends to go to full cover price, drop down a bit, go to full cover price, drop down a bit. And this is another one of those series that I just get the feeling that once this disappears, it's not going to be easy to find them. You might be missing a volume, you might have forgotten that there was as many of these as there actually are. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the fact that the Crisis on Infinite Earths Deluxe Edition, the 30th anniversary, was one that featured in an episode of Whale Watch a few months ago. Literally every time I go and try to look for this, it doesn't appear. It really pisses me off. Okay, it's this one right here, and as you can see at the minute it's at full cover price, and it's not even Amazon directly that's the main seller. We don't know if a restock's coming because DC is really not good at communicating that type of thing, but at the same time, why would it be the case that they let the main event go out of print but they'll keep all the companions available? So those 3 books are just ones that I do think should be on your radar if it was that maybe you were missing a volume or maybe you were interested in getting them. Another deluxe edition, because honestly there hasn't been too much movement on the omnibuses from what I've been seeing, but it's these Jack of Fables deluxe editions. Now there's 3 of them, and at the moment they are all readily available, and all I'm going to say about this is, do you guys remember how out of print the Sweet Tooth deluxe editions are now? DC are an anomaly, I will give them that, but at the same time they have to know that Sweet Tooth deluxe edition reprints will be more profitable than keeping Jack of Fables in print. That's not me speaking on the quality of either series, it's just me looking at it from a business perspective. Now looking at volume 1, it's pretty much near enough at cover price, it's only got 7% off, and there's only 6 places that are selling this new, and it has been in print since 2017. Because of the fact that it's a spin-off, it would take a little bit more time for these to go out of print in comparison to something like the Fables deluxe editions. These 3, and admittedly that's a very good price for volume 3, so if that was one that you wanted, definitely jump onto it. But I would make sure that they were priority for you if you did want them. What I'm hoping for is that after they do the Fables compendium, they do a Jack of Fables compendium, because I'd really like to keep that full series in the same format. Next one, and moving on to an Absolute edition now, because we've got DC The New Frontier, one of my favourite Absolute editions of all time, and I do think that I mentioned this a few months ago, and it doesn't look like things have gotten any better. I often say that, you know, I'll check back in with them, see if there's been any differences, in case it was that, you know, you didn't really know if I was talking a load of shit the first time, and then you want to see if I am talking shit when it's a few months later. I can't blame you, sometimes I think I'm just talking shit, so it makes sense that you would wait, but there hasn't been much development with this, and it does look like the number of places that have got this are drying up. But the first printing of DC The New Frontier Absolute Absolute Edition went completely out of print. So I would recommend not risking it and putting yourself in that boat with this edition. And if it was that you wanted it, things haven't really got better, things haven't developed for the better, so I'd recommend just getting it. And for the first time on Whale Watch, we are going to be looking at a box set, and this time it's Blackest Night. I know this had quite a lot of issues. There was something wrong with the glue, so they did a recall. I don't really know. It sounds like it was a mess of production for this, but it doesn't look like there's too many places that have got this in stock, despite the fact that it only got printed in May. Sure, of course, yes, there could be the chance that more are coming across. There's 25% off at the moment. I do know that a lot of people like these box sets, and if you're one of those, I'd recommend picking this up because it's a format that is very easy to sleep on because you don't really see too many people talking about them. But I haven't really seen what the aftermarket's like on these DC box sets. If it is the case that they will absolutely shoot up in price, but it could also be the case that not many people want it, which will drive the price down. Still, I'd rather you not have to pay for a scalper, and with that being at least under cover price, if you wanted it, it's got a lot of great material in it, so I'd recommend doing that, and I think you get a set of rings with it. Another one that when I mentioned this book last year, it completely mugged me off by coming back in stock, but it's the Batman 66 Omnibus. A very unique title. I've enjoyed the stories from this that I've read. It's just so quirky and so fun, and as you can see here, it's got a decent amount of price off over here at Amazon, but there aren't too many places that are selling it. It is in stock over at Read Comics, which is a bit of a good sign, and when this goes out of print, if it does, you never know, there could be another restock of it. I think it's going to be quite difficult to get because of the fact that a lot of people have slept on it. I don't want that to happen to you guys if it is that you wanted this, so with it being at least a healthy amount off here at the moment, you know, 36% isn't too bad. I'd recommend if it is that you wanted it, it's here now, so you might as well get it. But some good news, there have been quite a lot of DC books that have been announced, one of which is a very highly anticipated reprint for myself. I put this on my Instagram as soon as I found out about it, so I definitely recommend following me over on there, but it's the Gotham Central Omnibus. This disappeared in the blink of an eye, and I don't want that to happen again to you guys. The only place that I've seen that's got it available for pre-order at the moment is Organic Price Books, but as you can see here, the only copies that you can get off Amazon are nearly £800 and used. Oh, but since the reprint's been announced, it has dropped from the very reasonable price of £1,165. And just before that, it was nearly £1,500. So yeah, this reprint is one that we shouldn't take lightly. But it is very good news that a reprint of this is coming out, and if you didn't know already, make sure that you aren't buying a scalped copy because you probably will notice that the price of some of those are going to drastically drop. But it was also announced that the Legion of Superheroes 5 years later will be getting a volume 2. There's only one place that's selling it on Amazon at the moment, and it's the Purple Button of Doom over here at Read Comics. But because of the fact that this volume 2 has been announced, and look, it's written by Mark fucking Waid, I think it is pretty much guaranteed that there will be a restock of volume 1, so please don't buy that for scalped price because this was one of those more niche titles, and I think they do realise that some people didn't have a chance to buy it. It's coming out next April, so you might have to wait a little bit closer to the time because they don't really announce reprints in a similar way that Marvel do, but I think this is very good news if it was that you were looking for that Legion of Superheroes volume 1. And again, yes, it is DC, so you never know, they might cancel it, but at this moment we've got a good sign, and I'd recommend just waiting on this one. One that really surprised me is that the JLA Tower of Babel Deluxe Edition looks like it's drying up. There's 21% off over here at Amazon, which is a decent enough off, but it's not great. There's only 2 places that are selling it, and the only other places are Great Read UK. I'm not sure why I can't talk today, I'm really tired. It is available in stock over here at Read Comics, and you can also get it from Forbidden Planet, which normally they're the sign that it is going out of print because they get out of stock of everything pretty much first. So it could very well be the case that more copies of these are coming across. I would hope that that is the case, but all I am saying is that for these decent enough prices, like if you couple this with a few other purchases, that works out really well. It's worth just having it in your collection if it was that you wanted it, and getting it for a price that you're comfortable with, as long as you've got the money to spend on it right now, than to risk just waiting for the sake of waiting, because with it being that this isn't an omnibus, that's not going to go too much cheaper. You might get it for about £16, which, yeah, every penny helps, I'll give it that, but at the same time, it might also just be going out of print. I honestly don't think that this would be the last that we see of this title, but at the same time, deluxe editions are an absolute fucking anomaly. Another one that I do want to put on your radar is these Wonder Woman by John Byrne hardcovers. It's not an immediate purchase, you don't need to buy it right now, but at the same time, these probably are going to start drying up. Now, just having a look here, volume 3, there's only 2 left in stock. There's only a couple of places that are selling it new. Again, we don't really know too much about the lifespan of these. It looked like Booster Gold has gone out of print, but at the same time, it looks like we're getting restocks of Superman, but they started doing this series in 2017, and I think it is the case that this isn't really talked about. But for me, that's something that you should be looking at over the next couple of months if it is that those were titles that you wanted to pick up. Speaking of Wonder Woman, and we've touched on these omnibuses a few times now, but we have the Wonder Woman by George Perez Omnibus Volume 2. As you can see here, Volume 1 unfortunately does look like it's currently unavailable, and I do think that Volume 2 is going to be the next one to go. It looks like they're doing absolutes of this series. I don't know if they're just going to do the first part or they are going to continue it, and Amazon's the cheapest place it's got at the moment. I said a couple of episodes ago that the Philomenes Omnibus is probably going to disappear, and it's Purple Button of Doom at the moment. It's Purple Button of Doom for the George Perez Volume 1, but you can get Volumes 2 and Volumes 3 in stock at the moment. I think I said a couple of months ago that it doesn't make sense that they're going to have the Absolute and the Omnibus both available for a title that not many people are really picking up actively. For some of the more recent stuff, like when we had the Absolute of Wonder Woman by Brian Azzarello and also the Omnibus at the same time, that kind of made sense because of the fact that it's such a prolific title that was still quiet in the public eye. But I do think that this is one of those titles that you are going to see disappearing a little bit more because of the fact, I don't know if anybody has noticed this, but there tends to be quite a lot of trends with DC omnibuses that come out in threes. So you had the Nightfall trilogy that started drying up, you've also got the Harley Quinn trilogy that started drying up, and of course stuff like JSA, and I think that this is going to go in a similar direction. So it might be the case that you're only missing one of these, and I definitely recommend jumping on them so that you don't have that disappointment, or maybe have a gap in your collection and have to pay over cover price in order to complete it. I don't really tend to talk a lot about these Bronze Age omnibuses because of the fact that there's so many of them, but one that I am going to highlight is DC Universe by Jack Kirby. Still got a decent enough price off, but it's been in print for over 2 years, and this isn't one of those books that's really talked about. Like, yeah, Fourth World's getting a reprint, and I probably am going to pick that up, although I don't know, should I go with the Absolute editions? I'm really a bit torn on that one. But there's only 9 places that are selling it. Yeah, you've got your Speedy Hen, but I think this is going to be one of those books that does now start to dry up and disappear. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. I think this is probably going to die a slow death, so you're probably going to see that the price is just going to slowly creep up, and then all of a sudden you're just not going to be able to buy it. Another one that I think I mentioned a few months ago, but it's worth revisiting, is the 0 Hour 25th Anniversary. It's been in print for nearly 2 years now, and there's only 3 places that are selling it, and the other 2 are pretty much at full cover price. Now, I heard recently, but I haven't been able to find it, that the DC 1 Million Omnibus is going to be getting a reprint. So with the 0 Hour, I feel like this is a much more popular title than DC 1 Million because of the fact that most of DC 1 Million was actually collected in the JLA by Grant Morrison Omnibus. But at the same time, it is a little bit risky to be sleeping on books that are actively available and for a pretty healthy amount off. Yeah, it's not your Books Etc. 50% off, but you know, that time's kind of gone now. So I think this is going to be one of those that a few more months from now, there's going to be even less people selling this and the price might be even higher. But at the same time, DC is confusing me a little bit with the books that are getting reprints, so who the fuck knows? It really makes Whale Watch difficult, I can't lie. Another series that I recently brought, and I'm a little bit confused on what's going to happen with this, but it's Y the Last Man in Absolute Edition, and in particular Volume 3. And as you can see here, there's 30% off, which is pretty decent, but there's only 2 places that are selling it, and the only other one is drastically over cover price. With the TV show coming out, we don't know what's going to happen, but putting it right here, you've got 5 trade paperbacks that are pretty much readily available, 2 compendiums, an omnibus, and then you're going to have the Absolute Edition as well. DC don't really show a lot of sense, so I can't predict if they are going to keep these in print. You know, you'd think you'd get at least some of them, but at the same time, you don't know if it's going to be a similar situation like Invincible, and there might be later stock that comes out, but everything just completely dries up. It's not worth the risk of having gaps in your collection if you do comfortably have the money to be able to spend on this series, and it is one of the greats. Yeah, I don't really think the art is absolutely perfect, but for me, I bought the Absolute Editions because of the fact that I looked at it in a similar way when I get a 4K Blu-ray of a movie. It might not make it look like it was filmed yesterday, but still, it's a movie that I might really like in the best format possible. That was my rationale in buying these Absolute Editions, and yes, it does sound like I'm just trying to justify it, but at the same time, if you were somebody that was maybe buying these in dribs and drabs, maybe you thought the price was going to drop by the time TV show comes out, it actually looks like it might have gone the other way round, and it looks like you should be buying this if it is that you wanted it. The last book that we're going to look at, and I believe that I heard on maybe the Uncanny Omar's stream, that the Fables Compendium Volume 1 is now out of print. That's a little bit alarming because these compendiums are so new that it isn't really easy to see exactly what the lifespan of these is going to be. This one came out in October 2020. We've still got Volume 3 and Volume 4 that have been solicited at the moment, and something in my gut tells me that it'd make a lot of sense to bring these back in print, but then again, I don't work for DC, and admittedly I very rarely make a lot of sense. But I think what this tells us is that they're not afraid to let these compendiums go out of print, and I did have a check over some of the other ones like Y the Last Man, Ex Machina, DMZ, which again was at a very good price. And it looks like they are all healthily available at the moment, but at the same time, who would have thought that Fables would have gone out of print when the later volumes are still available to be ordered? Now, Reed Comics says that they're going to get more of it in on the 13th of August, which I think is actually going to be the next MDC, so make sure you're looking out for that one. But I swear I heard it from someone that that is out of print, so you never know. It might have just been out of stock, but all I can go off is the information that I hear. Like I said, I've got no kind of expert information. You can't see over here at Forbidden Planet, but they will Bag and Board Compendium Volume 2 for some reason. Hive has literally never had anything in stock, so I don't even know why they suggest that. And it doesn't look like anyone else has got this either. But just having a look at this, it was available a few days ago, and just at the beginning of last month, it was available for a pretty healthy amount off. This to me says that if this is actually out of print, the information that I've got is legit and it's not just going to get a restock later on. It could be the case that these compendiums just disappear in front of you. I would hate it to be the case that maybe you're waiting on one or two of them and then you can't get it maybe just in a matter of weeks. It seems like I can't find this anywhere at the moment, and I don't want that to happen to you guys. So if Fables Compendium Volume 1 was one that you wanted, definitely check around with your local comic shops, or maybe you can drop on it somewhere here or there. Okay, so moving into the Marvel section now, which means that this video is almost finally over. I've been filming for quite a bit of time now, but starting it off, we're just going to do our final order cutoff check. So for anybody who maybe doesn't already know, the final order cutoff is a date that's set by the distributor in which you have to get your orders in before if you want to be guaranteed that book. I'm just going to be using organic price books because they normally put things up first, but you can use whichever website that you want. Don't feel the need to harass me on Instagram if I don't use the website that you use. But already, like I said, you can see that we've got some of these DC pre-orders that have gone up. So you've got the Gotham Central Omnibus, you've got Catwoman of East End, which is by Ed Brubaker and Darwin Cook, and you've also got the Question Volume 1, which is something that I'm very excited about. We've also got some Marvel Masterworks and some Epic collections. Admittedly, I don't really know too much about that. And we've also got pre-orders available for the Madman Library Edition Volume 2, Hack/Slash Deluxe Edition Volume 2. The final order cutoff for all of these seems to be August 21st, unless it states anything else. You've also got the Compendium for Paper Girls and also Outcast by Robert Kirkman. But getting into the Marvel Omnibuses, we've got some big releases right here, because we've got the Young Avengers by Alan Heinberg, you've got the Incredible Hulk reprint Volume 1, you've got Star Wars Legends Empire Volume 1, and you've also got Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman Volume 2. We're also looking at the Moon Knight Volume 1 restock, and we've also got the Knights of Pendragon along with the Invaders. So some very big titles there that if you definitely wanted some of these, I'd recommend getting your pre-orders in before this final order cutoff happens. But as you all know, we can't start the Marvel section without doing our Chi Check, which is a section of the show where we check on a boy Shang-Chi. 2 tries that time, but at the moment you can see that you can still get Volume 2 for about 30% off. Volume 3 is available, and I think that came back in at organic price books. Volume 4 for some reason has gone to full cover price, and there isn't many places that are selling it. And Volume 1 looked like it had a seller, but it was over cover price. Yeah, that is a little bit steep, I'm not gonna lie, but it seems like Volume 4 is the one that's disappearing all of a sudden now. But we've got the Deadly Hands as well. It looks like Volume 1 is creeping back up in price, but there's a few places that are selling it as well. And Volume 2 as well is still quite healthily priced, but obviously you don't want to start by just getting a Volume 2. It's normally cheap comics that we use to look at these Shang-Chi omnibuses. They're normally quite good with Marvel for actually getting accurate if something is out of print. Everything else they pretty much just list as out of print, but with this it's been pretty reliable. Okay, so you can get Volume 4, Volume 1, 3 and 2. Volume 1 is over cover price, but the others are pretty much just underneath it. The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, Volume 1 is on sale, which is for a very good price, and you can also get Volume 2, so that's definitely where I'd recommend picking up Volume 1 from if it was that you needed this to round out this collection. One that I got asked about last month that I'm not really too worried about, but I'm just going to highlight it here, is the Aliens Omnibus Volume 1. As you can see here, all those telltale signs like we usually talk about, it's at full cover price. Amazon's the only place that's selling it on this website, and it had a massively steep increase in the price, which normally are signs that do get me worried. However, it does look like Marvel's got plans for quite a few of these Aliens omnibuses, so I will not be surprised if this gets restocked, and I actually expect it. It only really came out 2 months ago, which hasn't been a long amount of time. I think it might just be the case that they didn't print as many as they were probably intending to, and there is a little bit of a delay. One that I do think is worth being suspicious of is the Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky Volume 1 hardcover. Okay, yeah, you should be worried about this because it's currently completely unavailable, and it only came out in March of this year. I do think that Marvel 100% realised that Daredevil is a very viable name if they want to make an omnibus, so I will not be surprised if this enters the omnibus side of the collection at some point. But at the same time, not everybody likes omnibuses, and I can appreciate that, so if you wanted these deluxe editions, this is one that has just disappeared. When did I last see this available then? Because I swear I saw this last time I checked. They have got a volume 2 coming out, but it does look like volume 1's just listed as out of stock, and I'm not able to see it here at Forbidden Planet either, unfortunately. And it's already massively increased in price over here at Cheap Comics, so this is one completely disappeared. It wasn't even on the radar for me, so I apologise for that. I feel like I'm just getting this wrong all the time lately, but still, I do get the feeling like some comic shops would have stock of these in, and Marvel is kind of changing up the way that they do things, so you never know, when that volume 2 comes out, maybe we will see a stealth restock of this first volume. Next up is the Untold Tales of Spider-Man, which came out in May of this year, and this was a reprint. There isn't too many places that are selling it at the moment. Yeah, you've got your books, etc., but it doesn't really seem like there's many others, and Amazon does have a pretty healthy price of it. However, when I was talking about the Aliens book and saying, oh, this hasn't been out for a while, so it's likely that there might be a restock, it's because of the fact that that was a new release. Reprints are the Wild West at the minute, and we've seen that they do disappear quite quickly. And it's quite hit and miss, because you've got stuff like Astonishing X-Men, which is getting another restocking, but then you've also got stuff like Uncanny X-Force, which pretty much disappeared as soon as it came out. You've also then got titles like She-Hulk, so it is a complete guessing game at the moment, and I genuinely feel like this might be one of those series that doesn't get an additional restock because of the fact that there wasn't really too much hype when this was announced in the first place. So for me, these reprints, like I've said before, need to be top of your list if it is that you're looking to get any of them, and I do think that this is one that you really should keep your eye on, because it might not be that we're going to get a guaranteed restock. Another one, and I feel like I mentioned this maybe in about May time, but it's the Infinity War Omnibus. Now, I said that this is one that you should be looking out for, and again, I think this is your danger zone, because at the minute, Amazon has got quite a healthy 34% off, but they are the only place that's selling a new copy, which is always a worrying sign. Cheap Comics as well is listing it as out of print, which is something that you do have to take with a grain of salt, but it is also at full cover price, and I think that this is going to be one of those that disappears for a lot of people and they wish that they would have picked it up. I don't want that to be the case for you if it is that you wanted this title, so the Amazon price is fairly decent, and it is better to pay 34% off cover price than to have to pay over cover price. Looking at some complete collections now, because I said this last month, so if you haven't watched any of the recent episodes of Whale Watch, please do, because I might mention a book in there that you're wondering if it's going to be on here. And also, because Marvel's getting much better at restocking stuff, they're doing stealth restocks and they're also announcing restocks. It does make it a little bit more difficult, but I am trying my best. But looking at some of these complete collections, I know that some of these later volumes of the Punisher Max series do look like they're disappearing. Volume 1's been out of print for a couple of months now, if I remember correctly, but in particular we're looking at stuff like volumes 3 and volumes 4, because as you can see here, it's at full cover price, and pretty much everyone else is either selling it used or they're more of a smaller seller. And we've also got volume 3, and again, it's the same situation. You've also got Amazon that is selling it for a pretty decent price, but these later volumes of stuff are kind of the more dangerous books, because of the fact that people might go, yeah, I've started this series, I'll pick that later volume up a little bit later. But Marvel tend to print less copies the more that a series goes on, because it just makes sense. Why would you ever print more of a later volume? Because people might not want to jump in that late into a series. So don't let any of them slip through your fingers if it was that you wanted some of them. Another one that I think should be back on the radar for a lot of you guys is the Vision Complete Collection, because of the fact that it has now come back in stock. We heard that there was going to be more copies of this. Yeah, they probably should have come out at a similar time as WandaVision, but regardless, it's here now, so we can't complain too much, and it does look like a lot of places have got this back available now. We're sort of in the Wild West when it comes to these restocks, because we don't know what the longevity of the plan is that Marvel has, or even if they have finalized the plan just yet. I'm always of the attitude that if you can afford the book and you want it and it's available for a price that you're happy to pay for, it's better to just get it then and there. Like, yeah, you might get it for a couple of quid cheaper somewhere else, but you also might miss out on it again. And in a similar vein, because of the fact that WandaVision has now finished, I think we need to be keeping our eyes on this Scarlet Witch by James Robinson complete collection. As you can see here, Amazon's got it for a pretty decent price, if I'm being honest with you, but they are the cheapest place at selling it, and it's only really a local comic shop that's doing it anywhere else. Sorry, I didn't know why that zoomed in at all, it completely confused me. So complete collections are pretty much the equivalent of deluxe editions over at DC, already, and that I was saying that they can go out of print and they pretty much disappear overnight, and then there's no real warning about it. I'm trying my best to figure out what those warning signs are. It's a little bit more difficult to see, but for me, I think this is one that has got quite a couple of those signs. Another complete collection, and I don't really know too much about this, but there might be somebody that did want this, but it looks as well like the Avengers Arena complete collection's going out of print. Amazon's only got 3 left in stock, and it's been available since 2018. The only other place that's selling its book depository, and it does seem like they might actually have that on hand. But yeah, I can't really speak too much about this one because I haven't read it, and at the same time, it has been available for quite a long amount of time. To me, that says that there isn't going to be a restock of this when it does eventually go out of print, which means that if you do want it, now is pretty much the time to get it. But some good news, we do occasionally have that over here at Whale Watch, because a book that I thought was going out of print for such a long time was The Hulk by Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. It seems for some reason like a lot of places have got this back in stock again, and I haven't really heard any announcement that there was going to be a restock, so maybe it was like a stealth operation. Don't really know what the word is that I was looking for there. Again, I am really tired. But just looking here, if we have a quick look, we've got Books Etc.'s going back in stock, Speedy Hen, Blackwell's Book Depository. There's quite a healthy amount of sellers that have this at the moment. Now, I still think that this is something that you shouldn't really sleep on too long, but in all honesty, because of the fact that Planet Hulk is the one that is currently out of print, I think it's more likely that that would get a reprint before this one. And again, because of the fact that I realise that not everybody likes omnibuses, I am trying to look at other different properties that they have, and the Infinity Gauntlet Omnibus I know is one that a lot of people wanted, but there was this deluxe edition, which is a paperback, which is just really confusing to me, I'm not gonna lie, but it seems to have quite a lot of material in it, and it might be the case that you don't want all the tie-ins that come with the omnibus, and I think this might be a viable option for you. But this looks like it's going out of print as well. It's at full cover price, it's been available since February 2019, but yeah, the only other place that's got it is A Place in Space, and they're selling it for full cover price, and Amazon isn't really showing that they've got any discount of it. But I think this is one that if you just wanted an easily accessible format to read Infinity Gauntlet, this would be your best bet, but at the same time, it looks like it's going to be unavailable. I think I mentioned this one within the last 2 months, but I have to mention it again because it looks like there's even more signs that this is going out of print. Again, I haven't heard that there's going to be a restock on this. If I am wrong, I apologise for that. But look, it's at full cover price. There's only 2 places that are selling it. We haven't really heard word that there's going to be like a volume 2 or anything like that. At least I haven't at the moment. I heard there was Invaders. I hope I'm not confusing Invaders for Defenders volume 2. But to me, it just seems like this is one of those books that's just completely off the radar for a lot of people. It does make me wonder if this is on its way out, but again, with Marvel, it's just so difficult to predict these kind of things. We're going to end the Marvel section on some good news because the Namor Omnibus is one that has been pretty much out of print for quite a while. You can only really get one used from Amazon UK. The Namor Omnibus by John Byrne is now on sale. It's very rare for a book that is actually out of print to pretty much be half price on this website. I know this is one that a few people wanted, and in the off chance that you are that person, why would you ever turn this deal down? Do not sleep on that. I think it's worth picking up, and that is some good news that hopefully will come as good news to some of you who are watching this. Okay, so what we're going to do to round out this episode, again like last month, is have a speculation corner. Like I said, I want to try and give my opinion on stuff. Obviously take it with a pinch of salt. Nothing that I say is guaranteed. But one book that I feel is destined to get a restock is Excalibur Volume 1. Now look, Volume 1's at a pretty hefty price of 180 quid. You've got one there for 200, 215, 250. Yeah, look, people are actually buying it for some of these prices. I don't know what the best offers were that were accepted, but for at least over 100 quid is what they're going for at the moment. Barely anyone in the UK had a chance to get this, and at the moment you can already get Excalibur Volume 2 for pre-order. It's coming out in November, and when New Mutants got announced that it was going to have a second volume, it was announced also that there's going to be a restock of Volume 1. I think it would be the biggest oversight on Marvel's part to not bring out a restock of Volume 1. I'm doing this for me fellow Brits. I know that I got this book into my collection, but it's not fair that people across here didn't get a chance to. Marvel are restocking books that I haven't heard any demand for, but there is for this book, so I genuinely think that it's not worth paying over cover price for this because they have to realise that people aren't going to buy Volume 2 if they couldn't get Volume 1. Maybe that sounds like I'm talking crazy, but to me that makes quite a bit of sense, and with DC doing all these restocks, I'm trying to predict what I think also might come back out. And the big one that I think DC has to be aware of, and again, yeah, it's DC, so we just don't know what's happening, but it has to be the Wonder Woman by Gail Simone omnibus. But it was only available for literally a couple of weeks and then it disappeared, and there hasn't been a chance to get it since. This pretty much came out just as the pandemic was happening. I think the day that I ordered this was the day that I was told I could work from home. It seems like those are the types of books that DC is trying to restock at the moment. Like I said, it's stuff like Batman by Paul Dini, Infinite Crisis, and Swamp Thing by Nancy Collins. If we are just speculating, something in my heart tells me that this Wonder Woman by Gail Simone omnibus also has to be something that will get restocked at some point. But that's just me if you're asking me to guess, and if you do want me to keep doing this section, let me know, because obviously when other books get announced that there's going to be reprints or later volumes, it does make it a bit more interesting to tell you guys what to look out for and maybe not overpay on. Obviously, like I said, there's nothing that separates me from just a dude on the street that's giving his opinion, so you don't have to listen to me if you don't agree with it, that's fine. Definitely make sure that you're subscribed if you're new here, and if you want to support the channel, it is greatly appreciated. I've got a tip jar over on my Ko-fi page, and you can also use organic price books, and make sure that you use the code WOOFWOOF because that really keeps the lights on over here. But feel free to catch up on some of the previous videos, and until next time, whenever that may be, just make sure that you stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad all you dogs. Woof woof! See you at the next video.